All right, it is 6 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, February 4th, 2025 meeting of the Raymore Planning and Zoning Commission. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will note that I guess in our agenda was actually supposed to be roll call next. I don't know if that switched from previous meetings because I feel like we do opening and then the pledge. So anyway, I apologize. I apparently am out of order, but it's also perfect timing because it allows Commissioner Bowie to get settled. All right. So before I jump into roll call, I just want to quickly announce we do have a new commissioner on the commission. This is Aaron Harrison. He's joining us from Ward 3, which is where I also represent. So Aaron, welcome to the commission. Thank you. All right, roll call. So Commissioner Bowie.
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
Commissioner Harrison. Present. Vice Chair Fizer.
Present.
Secretary Peterman.
Present.
Commissioner Shanks.
Present.
Commissioner Kia is absent this evening. Mayor Turnbow.
Present.
And Chairman Wiggins is here. So we got a nice full group tonight. 6. All right, so 8. All right. We will now move into, we have no personal appearances, so move into item 5, our consent agenda. I have one item, item A, the approval of minutes from the December 3rd, 2024 meeting. According to the agenda, it's meeting. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item or discussion of it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
I move that we approve the December 3rd, 2024 minutes.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Mayor Turnbow, second by Vice Chair Fizer. Any discussion of the topic? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed or abstentions? All right, that'll pass 7-0-1. Thank you. We have no unfinished business, so we'll move right along into item 7, new business. 2 items on that this evening. Item A, the election of officers for 2025. Mr. Gress.
Thank you, sir. In the adopted rules and procedures of the Planning and Zoning Commission, typically the first meeting in November, we had a couple other business items in November, and so we pushed that to the first meeting 2025, but it does require the commission to elect the new slate of officers for the for the calendar year. As the commission knows, the current slate of officers would be Commissioner Wiggins as the chair, Commissioner Fizer as the vice chair, and Commissioner Peterman as the secretary. I think in previous years, if the current slate of officers is willing to continue to serve in that capacity, they can indicate so, or the commission can also open it up for nominations from the commission if anybody else wishes to assume those duties for this calendar year.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if there's no further, or if there's no one else, or if you guys aren't objecting to the positions, I would entertain the motion that that we retain those presently in office.
I would be happy to do so.
I'm fine with that too.
Secretary Peterman? Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's my motion then. If I can
Second.
get a second.
Yes, we did. Motion by Mayor Turnbow, second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion of the topic item? Seeing none, all in favor? That'll pass unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. Moving along into item B, we do have one case this evening, case number 25004, the Raymore Gateway Final Plat, lots 1 and 2. Mr. Gress.
Thank you, sir. The request before the commission this evening is for final plat approval for the Raymore Gateway Development, which is the property generally located at 58 Highway between Kentucky and Westgate Drive. The applicant is requesting a formal final plat. As the commission knows, this was the former China Star Buffet that has since been torn down. With the completion of Chick-fil-A on the westernmost portion of the lot, the applicant is requesting to now create a separate lot where China Star once stood there for some future development opportunities. So within your packet, just some general information. The property is zoned C2 General Commercial District, primarily surrounded by C3 Regional Commercial within the Raymore Galleria development, and then there is one parcel to the north, which is zoned R1 Single Family, currently occupied by a couple different agricultural buildings on the property. Overall, the property in question is going to be a total of 2.2 acres, and again, they're requesting to create 2 separate lots within the development. And then included in your staff report would be what those development standards are, and for how those development standards have been met for each of those 2 lots. The city has reviewed the final plat application. In essence, all this is doing is formally establishing the property lines that have been in existence since the current property owner has owned it. It was never platted when it was a Ryan's Buffet or a China Star, because the code did not require it at the time that that building was constructed. So again, now that they've finished construction on the first building, formally platting those so that we can start potentially getting some attention on future development on that adjacent lot. Staff does recommend that the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the proposed findings of fact and forward the case to the City Council with a recommendation of approval. That will conclude my staff report.
Thank you, sir. I just real quick had a question before I ask any other members of the commission. When looking at, on that very first page, the outline of the subject property, there seems to be, is there, and maybe the 2 images seem to be a little different now that where the trees are, but that small sliver on the east side, is that a standalone property? Is that a right-of-way owned by the city? Is that a separate subject property that's only 15 feet wide? What's the status of that, sir?
Yeah, so the plat for you this evening is strictly just the developed lot, and then there is one undeveloped lot next to that. Directly adjacent to that is that tiny strip of land that runs along the eastern property line. That is actually part of the Raymore Galleria plat. Within that, it does not currently meet any development standards for any development. It's kind of a remnant from when Westgate was built through that development. Staff has been working with the multiple owners in there. The city also does have a pretty expansive amount of right-of-way along Westgate. So in the future, I would expect that to come forward with some sort of replat as we work with the property owners there to kind of merge those lots together to better utilize that space. It is under separate ownership from what the application is this evening. It's currently owned by Block & Company, who has developed the rest of the Galleria surrounding this property.
Okay. And then, and maybe it's just me looking at the lines here. So between the overlay version and then the version above it, that's the satellite. On the satellite image, the red line is east of what used to be the tree row, but in the overlay, the darker red line, the darker overlay is over the trees, but then the lines outside, is there different? Is that just an overlay issue there?
So it probably is just an overlay of the imagery. The images on the front of the staff report, one is just going to be a general aerial map. Sure. The darker red that you're seeing is actually the zoning of that subject property. It is C2 versus C3. So the C2 is going to be the darker red. That's what that indicates. The lighter red around that is going to be the C3 zoning district. The property line, though, is generally the tree line. Those trees have now since been torn down and cleared out. But to answer your question, there is this subject property, the 2 lots being proposed. There is one additional platted piece of property, and then there is the city right-of-way adjacent to that within Westgate Drive.
Because in the darker overlay, it makes it look like there's subject property, then there's a sliver of inside the red line and a sliver outside the red line. So that's why that was my confusion there.
Gotcha.
All right, sorry, it's not taking up enough time. Any questions from the commission for city staff? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item, please.
I'll make a motion.
Please.
I make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the proposed findings of fact and forward case number 25004, Raymore Gateway Final Plat, to the City Council with a recommendation of approval with the subject to the following condition that is listed in our packet.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Pfizer, second by Commissioner Bowie for the Planning and Zoning Commission to accept the proposed findings of fact and forward case number 25004, Raymore Gateway Final Plat, to the City Council with a recommendation of approval, including the single condition outlined. Any discussion of the item? Seeing none, all in favor? That will also pass unanimously. Thank you, 8-0. That'll conclude new business this evening. We will now turn it over to Mr. Zur, sir, for the City Council report.
Thank you, Chairman. Pleasure to be able to come back before you. It's been a little while since we've met. You guys, you last met on December 3rd, and since then, there have been a number of meetings for the City Council. I'll report on the highlights from each one of them and answer any questions you might have. There was originally a meeting on December 9th, following your last discussion. During the course of that meeting, the Whitetail Run PUD rezoning and preliminary plat had an initial first reading and a vote of 6-2. I'm sorry, that was a second reading. No, that's right, first reading, my apologies. After that was the Cunningham fourth and final plat and the Parkside second final plat. Also, during the course of that was a initial reading or opening of the original town alleyway vacation that you all had the opportunity to hear. December 23rd meeting, the original town alleyway vacation, had been continued at the original December 9th meeting at the applicant's request. So the first reading of it occurred on the December 23rd meeting. That was a public hearing that occurred on December 23rd. There was also discussion and approval for placement of a public safety sales tax on your upcoming ballot that you all will be hearing information about in future meetings. The January 13th meeting had the second reading and final approval of the original town alley vacation, and the January 27th meeting didn't have anything on it that you all had previously reviewed. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Obviously, there was a lot of interest in the Whitetail Run PUD and the rezoning and preliminary plat application. Fully discussed and vetted, and sure appreciated your input before it made it to the City Council.
Now, you want to give them the rest of the story?
I am happy to do so if you'd like me to.
Please do, because you've let the council know.
Yes, so last night at the last night at the City Council work session, there was a announcement made that the developer, Salee, for the property, who was here in person as well as through their representatives, was not able to close on that particular property, and so the Whitetail Run PUD is kind of in an undetermined state with regard to the current development that you will see on it. At this point, it is either going to be voidable or voided action that would basically require it in the future, I believe, to come back before you all if anything else occurs at that location. But Salee is not going to be developing it. They will not be able to continue or consummate their contractual obligations and rights with them.
And therefore, since the MOU was not completed, it pretty much negates the zoning change as well.
Yeah, there is yes, the analysis at this point is the individual who would have signed or who did sign the MOU, which is tied hand in hand according to the terms of the code with the POD rezoning, never acquired ownership of the property, never was capable of assigning or transferring that agreement. So without the POD, without the MOU, the PUD becomes an impossibility to proceed with.
So does that mean if a different developer came forward and wanted to maintain the same terms of the MOU and the same plat that we approved, it would still have to come back to us for approval because it's new names on it?
And that is our position.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, anything else to add? City Council report? No.
I'm going to caveat that. That is our current position, subject to initial or additional review and analysis.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Lawyer speak. As a son of attorney, I fully understand that. I will turn it over to Mr. Gress for staff report, sir.
Thank you, sir. First, I wanted to introduce our new city planner, Dave McCumber. He joins us recently from the city of Blue Springs, and before that, the city of Grandview, so very familiar with the general area, and so happy to have him on board. Looking forward to having more longer agendas, perhaps, than tonight's meeting was a little bit simplistic, but slow start to the year. Him and I have been doing a lot of research and work on looking at our UDC, comprehensive plan, and bringing forward some discussion items here throughout the next couple months for the City Council and Planning Commission. So really look forward to that. But happy to have him here for the first meeting of the year. So within your packet, I did include, or at your desk, was a copy of the monthly report for the month of January. So we had a decent start to the year for construction activity on permitting. 11 permits so far during this calendar year. in addition to just other permitting and inspection activities for the city. I do not remember if in December or November I was able to report on it, but we did finally issue the permit for the Einstein Brothers, which will be located in the multi-tenant building that the commission approved there next to the car wash and the Raymore Galleria. So we're looking forward to that project taking off here. They're still doing some work on the building shell, but they'll start work on that tenant finish hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. And then there has also been kind of an uptick in work within the Newly and Southern Glazers facilities down at the Commerce Center. They are actively continuing to expand their operations and add some new sorting and distribution equipment to kind of optimize their operations down there. So good to see the continued investment for those businesses. And then a couple other things in that report. There was one typo that was pointed out here right before the meeting. We currently do not have any items scheduled for the February 18th meeting. I had accidentally copied and pasted one item over from our Board of Adjustment. So at this time, there is no reason to hold our February 18th meeting. So if there's any objections, or unless there are any objections, I think we can go ahead and cancel that. I think there was the potential that maybe there be an additional work session for the council for some items that were piling up on their agenda. The other thing I wanted to point out is every year, as the commission knows, the council does provide funding for the National Planning Conference for both staff and one planning commissioner to attend. This year, it is going to be held in Denver, Colorado, March 29th through April 1st. So I've heard back from one commissioner that might be interested in going. If any of you are interested, just please let us know within the next week or two. Staff will generally take care of all the accommodations and scheduling flights, kind of working with each of you if you're interested. So if you think you might be interested, it is a fun conference to go to and just learn about what other cities are doing. So again, if you have any interest, just let us know within the next week or two so we can start working on those plans and get those taken care of. And then lastly, I did put each of your seats there a copy of the annual report for 2024. Our Economic Development Director, Jordan Lee, the second year she has put that document together and really just celebrates some of the projects that were either approved or completed during the year 2024. Kind of carries into some of the work that we might see coming forward this year as well. So that concludes my department report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any members of the commission have any questions for staff? I had one quick one. You talked about Einstein. Obviously, we know the dental office is probably the anchor tenant on the east side because they're the owner of the property, or the building at least. Do we know, well, A, how much space is Einstein taking up? B, how many additional spaces would be available? And C, do we know additional tenants for those interior space that we can share publicly?
So I don't have the exact square footage of Einstein Brothers. They generally took up about 1.5 spaces of what was originally supposed to be 2. So you're correct. There's the anchor tenant on the east side, which is Pacific Dental. Einstein Brothers will be on the opposite end. There are now 2 vacant spaces, up to 2 different spaces that could be occupied by another business. We've had some interest. It was good to see that Einstein Brothers snagged that space before the building was even complete. I know the broker there for that building has received a lot of interest, but no solidified commitments on any other tenants at this point.
Perfect. Anybody else have any questions for staff before we move on? All right, we will move to public comment. I do not see any public, but if anybody's waiting in the wings, we do welcome you to come forward to speak with the commission. Seeing none, we will move on to commission member comments. I will start at my immediate left with Vice Chair Fizer, please.
Okay. Well, welcome to our new commissioner, and welcome to our new city planner. It's nice to see everybody here again, and Happy New Year, even though it's already February. I just want to thank everybody for getting us prepared, and that's really it. Thanks. Oh, and go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs, indeed. Since your first meeting, I'll skip over you for a moment so you can collect your thoughts if necessary. But Secretary Peterman.
I don't have much tonight. Thanks staff for all the hard work that they put in, even though they had a lot of extra time in between meetings here, so anyway.
They're just sitting and waiting on us, aren't they? Yeah.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Commissioner Smith.
I appreciate staff as always, and it's nice to see some new faces and everything, so I'm going to try to remember them, but no guarantees.
Commissioner Shanks.
Yeah, thanks to staff. I think this pamphlet's really cool. I think they did a good job on that. It's nice. Welcome to our new folks in the room. Nice to have you on board. And thank you to the 3 of you that are willing to serve again in your office roles in 2025. Thank you for doing that.
Commissioner Bowie, sir.
No comment, really. Just want to say thank you to everybody. Appreciate it. Welcome aboard, guys. Appreciate you being here. Looking forward to our next meeting in about a month or so.
Very good. All right, Commissioner Harrison, anything? Make sure to.
I just want to say, appreciate you bringing me on board and excited to be part of the team. Thank you.
Mayor Turnbow, sir.
Yep. No, welcome to the newbies here. Mr. Harrison, welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. McCumber, good to have you in the city. Little story about Mr. McCumber. He was going through a candidate testing process, and they had a timed test that was going on in this little room right here that I always pass through to go to my office. Trying to be nice, you know, I just wanted to stop and say hi, and we get engaged. He's very engaging, easy to talk to. Spent about 5 to 10 minutes of his time. I didn't realize he was in a timed test, but obviously he did well because here he is. He must have done well. So, but it was anyway. It's good to have him on board here, and excited about the AFC Championship, and hopefully we'll bring home a bigger trophy here this Sunday. So go Chiefs! Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, thank you to the commission members. I enjoy serving as chairman, and I appreciate the overwhelming support to continue in that role. So thank you very much. Commissioner Harrison, welcome. These meetings, we try to keep them pretty smooth and pretty easy, which hopefully will also be a good experience for Dave over there. We are a good commission to work with, and we like to get things worked through pretty well. So hopefully from a city planner standpoint, we don't provide too many barricades for you in that sense. Only other thing, yeah, go Chiefs, Super Bowl Sunday coming up, so have fun. You know, technically, legally, there are no fireworks allowed on Sunday night. I'll just say it, but, you know, I'm sure you could, if necessary, you could probably work some in there. Other than that, I don't really have anything else, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I got a motion by Mayor Turnbow, second by Secretary Peterman to adjourn. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.